Hello, word nerds. Oh no, wait. This is
Yeah,
not my
I didn't know
dictionary
what
podcast.
was going on already.
I actually probably will put the audio of this up on my dictionary feed.
But it's not a dictionary
This
episode.
is not a dictionary episode. Sorry, everybody, if that confused you. This is a total experiment. This is my friend Jonah here. Jonah and I have known each other since we were 3 years old, almost 40 years. Can you believe that?
No, I can't.
I can't either.
I can't believe it.
So basically, what we are doing here today, if you couldn't tell from the thumbnail and the title that I will put in later, is we are going to watch a movie and we're going to talk about it while we're watching it. Um, this is a total experiment, and really, this comes from me just wanting to talk about movies. I have loved movies my whole life, and every time I watch a movie, I just want to talk about it. And usually I'm in a situation where I shouldn't be talking out loud, like at home with my wife or in the theater. And I just have so many thoughts going through my head, especially if I'm a little high. And I have thoughts from the production, what's going through the actors' minds, the story, the light. I mean, like anything, nothing's off the table. My brain is just filled with thoughts. I can't guarantee that all of it is particularly interesting or funny or entertaining, but these are just the things that I think about. So, a few weeks ago, maybe a month or two ago, Sharon and I decided to watch Gaslight from 1944, and it was one of those times I just had a whole bunch of thoughts, and I think what happened was I think what had happened was, after the movie or near the end of the movie, I was thinking about the soundtrack, and I thought, well, we'll get more into this, but basically, I thought it would be interesting or funny if this film had a completely different soundtrack. It's very dramatic. It's from the 40s. The movie is very dramatic. But I was like, well, what would it be like if you had sort of a more silly soundtrack to it? And so I texted Jonah, and because he's my music guy, and I mentioned something like, at some point in the future, would you ever
Yes.
want to, redo the score to this 2 hour long movie or a scene or something like that?
Right.
And I think you said, I love that movie.
Right.
Great idea. You're a genius, Spencer. That's totally what it was.
I think so. I mean, I don't know what prompted you to reimagine a score of a movie, but like it. This is a movie that I was shown, and I can talk more about it later. But when I was in college or after college, by a guy named Rand Blake, a musician, but who uses film, is inspired by film, and if you hang out with Rand, you definitely get all of that. So he just shows scenes. You'll go into his room. Maybe you've had dinner. He'll serve a drink, lower the lights, and just show like a scene from Dr. Mabuse or Chabrol or something you've pretty much probably never seen. Although I am curious how much that's changed because now we have access to so many more things. So I would imagine that maybe some of his students, but it's too deep. He's very much a fan of Hitchcock, and as we'll see, this movie kind of has sort of some Hitchcock-esque tones to it or crossovers. But yeah, so that was my background with the movie. Was just
he showed you a scene.
He showed us a scene, and you just get it out of context. And so when that scene comes up, I think I'll point it out. But you get no context for it, and it's sort of like, what do you think about this? What do you think is going to happen to her? What do you think is going on?
So it wasn't specifically about the music, although I'm sure that was part of it.
No, it was very much not about the
scene.
music. He pays attention to those things. I mean, Bernard Herrmann, who did not do this score, is one of his main influences, big influences, I should say. And the composer for this, Roska or Milos Roska.
That's a good question.
Well, we looked it up before.
Yeah.
When I looked into it a little bit, I saw, oh, he's written a few like jazz standards. He's done a lot of good sound, scoring. He sounds like one of the big studio composers. So, and I have no doubt that Rand was influenced by it, but it's strictly a scene based on nothing that you see, and this is the magic, I think, of in some ways of film, but really of all art, is just sort of like catching yourself in another world and what is going on. And it's funny because now I've seen the movie several more times. I think it's been on TCM or something. I've watched it. I've shown it to my wife, just a scene or two, and you do the same kind of thing where you're like, oh, just this one scene, and yeah, I mean, I will. The experience that we watch it today will be unique, but it will also be based on the prior experiences watching it.
Right, right. And I wouldn't probably want to do this if I hadn't seen the movie already.
Yep.
I think you need at least one viewing. So, I definitely did say this before. Spoilers. This is something that if this is interesting and fun for you, just know that there are spoilers coming. We're going to talk about the movie as if you had seen it before. I'm going to put a graphic at the bottom, and so you can follow along with the time code. If we have to pause, I'm going to say what the time code is. I'll help you out if you want to watch along with us. And if not, I'm going to maybe even verbally describe. I think actually a lot of shots in this movie require a bit of a verbal description of what's going on because it is so beautiful.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Let's see. Let me check my notes and see. This is all, like I said, this is a total experiment. Before I forget, I gotta do that thing since I'm putting this up on my YouTube channel. Please subscribe. If this is something that is after this 2+ hour video, if you enjoy this, subscribe to it. Let me know. I would love to do more of these with you and a bunch of other people. Maybe my guest picks the film.
Yeah.
Because like I said, just talking about movies while I am watching them, I feel like for me is the best way. Like once a movie's done, I feel like I forget everything and I need to watch it. I need to be reminded of the scenes of what I was thinking at that moment. That's just how my brain works. So I think this will be fun, I hope. This is not a comedy, so we're going to talk about serious subjects, but also I kind of want to make fun of it a little bit. I think that it's, we got to have, this movie is almost 80 years old, so it's from a totally different time period. So yeah, that's kind of how it's going to be. It's a little bit like Mystery Science Theater, Riff Track, something like that, where we're just talking during the movie. So you talked about a bit about your history. Let's see. Big piece of trivia for this movie. This is based on a play called Gaslight, I think. Might have had a different title.
No, it's the same title.
It is the same title.
2 words instead of 1 word.
Right. There's a bit of confusion of is it 1 word, is it 2 words? I've seen both.
I think the play was a double or a 2 word.
A 2 word.
Gaslight.
And then, so then they made the UK made a version of this film in 1940, and then Hollywood was like, "Hey, wait a minute, we could do a better job." I haven't seen the UK version, but they said,
I don't think you can anymore.
Well, it does. So what happened was, Hollywood wanted to destroy all the copies of the UK version and say, no, this Hollywood one is the only one that exists. But there were some copies of the UK version that were labeled under a different name. And so they didn't get destroyed. So it does still exist out there somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where.
Wow.
But it theoretically, it does exist.
Okay.
There was a remake, I think, within maybe the last few years, but I haven't seen it.
Neither have I.
I'd be curious too, though. Because one of the thoughts I had of watching this movie was, well, what could you do with it these days?
Also, that was before everybody knows what word gaslight is now.
Yeah, so
that's probably a big thing you're about to get to.
Let's talk about that. Real quickly, I'll talk about the Oscars. It was nominated for a bunch of Oscars. It won for Best Art Direction, Interior Decoration, black and white specifically. This was the 40s, so they had a whole black and white category. It was nominated for Best Black and White Cinematography, nominated for Best Screenplay, nominated for Best Actress in a Supporting Role by Angela Lansbury.
Her first role.
Her first role. She was. We'll get a little bit more into it, but I saw her name in the credits, in the opening credits, and I totally forgot that she was in the movie until I looked it up afterwards, and I was like, "That's Angela Lansbury?"
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my God, fantastic role. She was 17, and then she turned 18 during the movie.
Amazing role.
Yeah, and she had never acted before. Winner for Best Actress in a Leading Role by Ingrid Bergman.
Yep. Nominated
for Best Actor in a Leading Role, Charles Boyer, and nominated for Best Picture. So this was a big deal when it came out. I have some direct quotes from Wikipedia just about gaslighting in general.
Okay.
We've all heard the phrase, and this movie, or this play, turned UK movie, turned American movie, is where this phrase comes from. If you don't know, it is the subjective experience in which an individual's perception of reality is repeatedly undermined or questioned by another person. So, what does that mean? Well, it's different from normal relationship disagreements because one partner is consistently listening and considering the other partner's perspective on the world, but then the other partner is, if it's a two-partner situation, the other partner is consistently negating the other's perception, insisting that they are wrong or telling them that their emotional reaction is irrational or dysfunctional. So if we were in a relationship, Jonah, no, I'm sorry, everything that you think about what's going on, you're wrong, I'm right, and the person who is being told that they're wrong over and over and over again over weeks and months and possibly years starts to believe that, and that's where the problem is.
Or I think it's there's a more subtle version, and I think it has to do with the dynamics that exist in any conversation, and one person is always sort of clearing the way for the other person, and it might not be. This is obviously predetermined. There's a reason for why one person is gaslighting the other person in this movie, but I think that, and I think maybe that's where the definition exists in the purposeful manipulation of the other person. But I think, I mean, as we get into this, I feel like there's so many sort of I don't know, reflections of gaslighting in other things. For example, I'll throw this out there right now, but if you are the recipient, well, let's say we're all watching the movie. To some extent, like, every audience member that watches a movie is getting gaslit.
Or as Wikipedia says, gaslighted.
Oh, very good, very good. And maybe that's a little too. Maybe I'm stretching it a little too much. Maybe that exceeds like the strict definition of gaslighting. But there is always a. I mean, the audience you want to be gaslighted,
right?
You know,
right.
there's that dynamic that exists. So I think it's an interesting. What's fascinating to me is how prolific the word has become.
Yeah. So a bit more information on it, and this is really key to what's been going on now. According to Robin Stern, a PhD, co-founder of the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence, that's an interesting role, quote, gaslighting is often used in an accusatory way when somebody may just be insistent on something, or somebody may be trying to influence you. That is not what gaslighting is.
Right.
Really important distinction, because it has gotten into our vernacular so much in the last 5 or 10 years, a lot of people
misuse
it in situations that, like, no, I'm not gaslighting you.
Right.
This is not one of those situations. I'm just disagreeing with you.
Right. Very important.
Yeah. Some motivations of where gaslighting comes from. It is a way to control the moment, stop conflict, ease anxiety, and feel in control. And in control is the really big part of it, I think. However, it often deflects responsibility and tears down the other person. Some may gaslight their partners by denying events, including personal violence. Again, that is a huge, huge, huge component. That's what Sharon and I talked a lot about after the film, is that's probably one of the more common situations.
Right.
As somebody who's being abusive emotionally and physically to their partner, and say, no, that's not happening at all. I'm not being violent.
Yes.
And then they start to believe it.
Right.
Yes. That's the key part.
Yep.
The word gaslight is weird until you see the movie. You know, it's like, well, why is it gaslight? Well, you'll have to watch the movie.
Mm-hmm.
How to stop gaslighting? Well, the person who's doing the gaslighting, those who gaslight, must attain greater emotional awareness and self-regulation. So they need to. I can't imagine this ever happens, or rarely happens, but they have to look at themselves, maybe go through therapy, and realize, oh, this is what I'm doing. I'm being a butthead.
Right. They have to use their powers for good.
Yes, exactly. And then on the other side, those being gaslighted must learn that they do not need others to validate their reality, and they need to gain self-reliance and confidence in defining their own reality. So clearly, this is a huge topic. This is something that therapy can be a big help with. Medical gaslighting, I have not heard of this one, but it totally makes sense. It's an informal term that refers to patients having their real symptoms dismissed or downplayed by medical professionals, leading to incorrect diagnoses. Women and racial minorities are more likely to be affected by the phenomenon, which is not at all surprising.
Right.
Given
we keep hearing about all these things. Yeah.
Yeah. In 2022, Merriam-Webster named gaslighting as its word of the year due to the vast increase in channels and technologies used to mislead, and the word becoming common for the perception of deception. The perception of deception.
Wow.
That's a good phrase there, too. So yeah, last year, 2022.
Well, I thought that it was a big buzzword. I know that it kind of started around 2016, and it became a huge, like, everybody knew what it was around 2018, I think.
Yeah, those numbers are exactly right. It was definitely in the mid 2010s, late 2010s where it really started to pick up.
I wonder why.
No, why?
I have no idea. What happened? I don't know.
Let's see. Okay, I think the rest of this I'm probably going to save for when we're actually talking about it. Any last thoughts, comments before we get started?
No, I have no idea who's watching this, so I have no idea what to say to that person.
This is gonna last forever.
I know, that's what's weird. Somebody's gonna watch it, and I don't know how they're coming to it. If you haven't seen it, I at least read the plot, so you're not distracted by that, I guess. But maybe you just want to jump in and watch it for the first time while we're talking over it. So
yeah, and
kudos to you.
You're not going to hear the movie. You're not going to see the movie because of legality issues. I'm not going to do any of that, which is why we got the headphones on so we can hear it. We're watching it, but the time code will be at the bottom of the screen. We're going to describe maybe certain scenes or what's going on in certain scenes. I think that'll be helpful. Wikipedia has the whole plot. What I will say, the very first thing, I'll just get you set up into this situation. The first line of the plot is, in 1875, that's when this starts. And I think the rest of the movie takes place in maybe 1900, closer to the turn of the century.
Right,
probably.
something like that.
Maybe 1890, something like that.
Right, yeah, I think that's right, yeah.
So it starts in 1875 when world-famous opera singer Alice Alquist is murdered at her London home, and her niece Paula is sent to Italy to follow in her footsteps to become a singer.
So for some reason, the niece was living with the singer when the murder happened, and you'll see Ingrid Bergman having a shocked look on her face as they lead her out. But,
yeah, well, it's a child first, and then she grows up to become.
I thought it was her. Ingrid Bergman in the movie. It might be. I don't know. I just watched it. Let's watch it. Let's find out.
Let's find out. Okay, ready? Okay, we are... by the way, we're watching this on Amazon. If you have the Amazon Prime, currently in 2023, in July, it is free. I don't know when I'm going to put this up. Probably in August. So we're starting literally at 0, and we're hitting play in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, hopefully that stays. All right, MGM... feature presentation. It's PG. I'm glad I'm old enough to watch this movie.
How old do you have to be to watch PG movie?
Well, parental guidance, so any age.
Oh, okay.
Probably, without parental guidance, maybe 5, 10, I don't know.
All right. So
important. The background for the intro credits is a wall with a lamp on the wall. That has a flame. This is the 1800s. There's a flame, and I believe it is lit with gas.
Right. Interesting pattern on the wallpaper. Screenplay, which one?
Nominated.
Nominated. Patrick Hamilton's read the original play. You saw David O. Selznick. He was one of the studio moguls, and I'm curious, but anytime I start learning about the history, my eyes glaze over. So it's kind of this double thing where I want to know who are the main people, and all these names. They were all running around the studio system.
Produced by Arthur Hornblow Jr., directed by George Cukor. Can you hear it okay?
Oh, actually, I can't hear it at all.
How about now? Wait.
Yeah, I can hear it now.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, your headphones were down.
Oh.
All right. So we are starting with somebody lighting a street lamp on the old streets of London. So I guess the idea is that there's gas coming out, and then they have to literally light it. They've got this long pole. We're at Thornton Square. Somebody is reading a newspaper that talks about a strangler who's still at large. There's a murder unsolved at Thornton Square.
And this is presumably where it happened.
Yep, number 9. Number 9.
That is Ingrid Bergman. That's what I thought.
Oh, crap.
It's all right.
So there must not be that much of a difference between when she was a child.
Well, they just that was a little girl there. They just had 2 different actors. One was a little girl, one was, so they, at the close-ups they shot her, and then of the far shots they had a little girl.
Really? I
Yes.
did not even notice.
Yes,
Right.
I didn't notice that either. So they just gave her some makeup to make her look really young. Yeah, but you're right about the time. It's maybe 10 years, 12 years, I don't know. Maybe a little bit more, maybe less. She's supposed to be a little girl. It's still a little weird that, you're living, because she's going to come back later, like,
Ooh, this is interesting. He's telling her not to look back, and you got to forget about your past, which is also a bit of gaslighting.
Yes, exactly. It's a classic gaslighting.
And so he's explaining, we're going to go to Italy, and you're going to become a great singer. The future, not the past.
Yeah, this is all fodder for, don't worry about it. Just do what you're told.
Fade out. Intro's done. Now we come into, she's learning from Maestro Guardi in Italy. He's a teacher of singing.
Bluthner's a real piano company.
Oh, cool.
This is, at this point, Ingrid Bergman is well on her way to being a big star. Or no, she's already a big star. She was in Casablanca 2 years ago in 1942.
Mm-hmm.
So she's already a big star.
So her singing teacher's telling us she's distracted. She's not paying attention. I mean, she sounded really good.
Yeah, I don't think that was actually her. But
No,
she
I
does
don't
sound
think it was
good.
either.
She did sound good. Her, I cannot get past all the details and make sense that it won an Academy Award for set design, because there's just so many details from her dress to the windows, what's behind the windows, the shades, the plants, all the stuff on the piano. Why would you have all that stuff on the piano if you're a teacher? But yeah, it's just everything filled up.
And lit perfectly.
Lit perfectly, yes.
Yeah.
Amazing lighting.
So she thinks that she doesn't have the voice, but he's telling her it's her heart that's not into it. You look happier, you sing worse? Is that what he said? Ah, he thinks she's in love. Ooh.
He's
Big
right,
thing
though.
to think of. He is. The big thing to think about, to notice, I think, throughout this movie is the light and the dark, because they play with that a lot.
Yeah. So it sounds like there was color film
I mean, yeah,
happening at this time, so it was just a question of who's using what. So maybe some of the it's almost like it gets paid attention to extra special.
she leans into the dark at that moment because I'm not totally paying attention to the words because we're talking, but she
Look at
very
that.
very
The
clearly
shadows.
she goes into the shadows.
Yeah.
Talking about tragedy. I think she was talking about her aunt dying.
Right.
And now she comes. He's telling her
Back into the light.
back into the light. So she admitted she's in love, and he wants to meet the man.
He's encouraging her to pursue her heart.
And not sing, I think, basically.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it's a little old fashioned that you can only do one or the other.
Right, right. It's a little odd, especially when you read the words.
Yeah. jacket he's wearing is.
It's fantastic.
There's a lot of texture everywhere on the door. There's texture on the walls, on the stairs. The black and white
Flowers
really
everywhere.
is yeah, you're right on about the lights and the darks.
Oh, they positioned his face perfectly in that little thing. So she left the singing. She meets the piano, the guy who's playing the piano during her lesson. She meets up with him, and they start making out frantically. No, not. It's a 1940s kiss. So he's the one that she's in love with.
Charles Boyer, do you know anything about him?
Not really. And she said, I don't know anything about you. Oh, so he's asking her, are you afraid of me? Are you afraid of me? Why would you be asking somebody if you're afraid of them? It seems so suspicious. Sorry, let's just say it right now. He's gonna gaslight her. I mean, it's pretty obvious from the beginning, and we'll talk more about that later. He is jumping into this relationship so fast.
Well, we don't know anything about them prior to this scene. And I wonder if the play is any different or if the other movie is any different. But yeah, it does sort of start to happen very quickly.
Yeah. So she wants to take a break, a vacation. So he's been real obvious about his love for her. He loves her so much.
It's hard to watch this
and read it at the same time.
No, I was gonna say, imagine forgetting what we know, forgetting what that is. He's clearly set up to be the villain, but you might not know that the first time you watch it.
No, but in not very long,
she looks like a She looks like a painting in this. Oh, here she hears This is the Hitchcock influence. I feel like Hitchcock always has a character that's like obsessed with murder and just like just likes talking about it to whomever.
I love this lady. She's on a train. There's an old lady who is reading a murder book. A murder book. That's what they're called. A murder book.
I mean, it's a book about murder.
Right. She is the 1900 version of the true crime enthusiasts today.
Right.
And you will see more of her later.
And it's funny enough, she kind of reminds me, in that interest of murder, of Angela Lansbury as Murder, She Wrote. Yeah. Just got to get that role.
Yep.
Both Ingrid Bergman and Charles Boyer are not British. Ingrid Bergman is from Sweden?
Maybe?
Yeah, Charles Boyer is from I don't know where. They're both stars.
But they got to play. Well, is he even British in the movie, or is he Italian? Because they were in Italy.
It's so unclear, and she's not saying where she's from. They're just like, yeah, don't worry about it. Are you from England? No, we're not.
No, but so this woman that she's talking to mentions Thornton Square,
right?
Which we know that's where she grew up.
Yes,
but she's very obviously concerned about that, but doesn't say that that's where she grew up. She's holding that all very close to the chest.
You can see her distraught. Her mood change. She's playing with the cookie, which is actually kind of a what do you call it? The method acting technique. Method actors often do stuff with their hands. Like if you imagine Brando in
do something.
Yeah, he's always doing something. She was kind of playing with her cookie a little bit, but this is 1944, so
early.
Mm-hmm. Before method acting was a thing.
Yeah. So we're getting a lot of exposition here about the murder of her aunt, and she has to pretend like she doesn't know about anything about that, but clearly she's distraught. Oh, this was the first scene that they shot, her and Charles. And so she gets off the train, and I think they just start making out. He grabs her. Okay, my question is, how did he get there before her? Now, clearly, she must not have left immediately, but he knew where she wanted to go, so he hopped on a train first.
He was meeting her there. Yes, that's not...
I love that reaction. The old lady thinks that she just met a stranger and started kissing him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of sort of misunderstanding or this is another fantastic set.
This set is insane. They're at Hotel del Lago, the hotel on the lake. There's literally water outside of their steps. It looks like a castle.
Yeah, it does look like a castle.
I think every scene you just have to pay attention to the cinematography, the lighting. I mean, it's just so
absolutely beautiful. Perfect hair.
This
right
guy,
out of bed.
He is way too perfect.
Yes.
He does everything right, according to, whatever society.
What are they doing here again?
She just needed a vacation.
That's right.
Yeah. And he put himself into the vacation. He said, "I'm going to take over. You wanted to be alone, but no, I."
Well, I mean, we have to also remember that this was common. I mean, men did everything,
and
were expected to do everything at the time.
Right, and I think that's kind of one of the things that I have to remind myself of, is that not only is this from 80 years ago and I'm looking at it from a 21st century brain, but it takes place, 50 years even before that.
Right. Yep.
And it's so different. And not to mention the fact that it's just highly stylized because it's from the 40s. All the movies were different at that time.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers. And it's like, this is what men were expected to do in 1890 something, but seen through the eyes of people in 1944. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah, and here he's basically convincing her to move to London. He brings up London as, where would we want to live? We get married, where do we want to go? Paris, Rome? What would you think about London? In the most obvious, creepy way possible.
Well, and the way he was holding her head there was a little serial killer-like.
And he is up higher, looking down, because he's got the control. It's also very dramatic.
Yes. Well, it makes sense as it had originated in a play.
Yeah.
In a way, the dynamics are in every scene, and they're kind of bringing those things out on film.
Mm-hmm. So in addition to bringing up London, he is now specifically referencing the exact type of place that she grew up, one of those little London squares where everybody knows everybody. Oh, she finally mentions her home and that she owns this house that she's never been back to since, 10 years earlier?
I think he's playing it very... He's playing his role pretty ambiguous because, keeping in mind that we wouldn't know the story, we don't know he's the villain. Is he just kind of this not stodgy, but muted? I mean, he's not very, he's doing a lot with his eyes. His emotion is not changing. He speaks in a monotone and he's sort of moving very slowly. So, but we know what he's doing, so we can see that he's already in the process of gaslighting her.
Yeah, but I'm not sure how ambiguous it is. Now, maybe to audiences in the 40s it was.
Yes, I think so. It must have been. It had to have been, because that's
right.
the whole... I mean, that's the whole trick with the movie and the story of it, is that you don't know... I mean, we have a plot twist in everything we watch. There's some development, that changes. The plot is twisting. And in this sense... I mean, in this movie specifically, it twists in the way where it's revealed that he's the one that's doing this. But no, we should remember that that's not clear to the viewer at the time.
At the time, and that's what blows my mind, is that to me it seems so friggin' obvious.
Yes.
Everything he does, he says, the look in his eyes, all that seems overly obvious.
Correct. Yes.
And that's what is baffling to me. Like, how did they not see that?
Right. Yeah.
And it's an 80-year difference in culture.
Yeah, and also a decision. I mean, I think a storytelling decision. You can't reveal too much.
Yeah, totally. But could they have made him less obvious?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean,
so we're now at 9 Thornton Square. A guy was turning on the water. By the way, that worker guy had the best hat I've ever seen. Like, I think workers should wear those hats again. And that the true crime lady is like, "What are you turning on the water for? We got some people coming in." She's like, "Oh, it's you from the train." I think this is like, a month later.
A month later. Doggy biscuits. What a coincidence that she's moving in at the exact moment that
the woman is walking
woman is walking by. She lives across the street.
So many coincidences. Oh, she's so excited. He must be the real estate agent.
Yes, or caretaker, they used to call them.
Yeah.
The door handle's in the middle. That's the old-fashioned doors.
Yeah, I mean, in Europe, there's still a lot
like that.
That have that handle in the middle.
Ooh, very nice.
Now we
get
to see the creepy...
And I see that, and I can only see. I can remember my first time watching it because you can't unsee things.
Mm-hmm. So this is a big house. Everything's covered. I mean, it's been empty for years.
Now, I'm curious when you mentioned you said you just thought it should have like a silly score or something. Or are you thinking about, like, would that work over the whole movie or only certain scenes?
Okay, so the idea from that came from, as we will see more in coming scenes, I think his reactions to things are to me, so over the top.
Mm.
And I don't understand why. Oh, he's lighting the lamp. That's the gas lamp. His reactions to things are so over the top, and she doesn't see it. And of course, to me, it seems so obvious. And all I could think in my mind was like, well, what if it was, what if you played this as a comedy? That's what I kept on thinking of. It's like it's so obvious. His reactions are so obvious that it seems comedic to me. I could almost see it as like a new version where somebody is playing it very exaggerated to be a comedy, and that's where the idea of like a comedic score came in. Like, let's just make it a comedy, even though clearly it's not. Or even a cartoon. Cartoons, we can make things so much more exaggerated. And I'll mention the certain scenes where it seems so obvious. Important plot point coming up here. We're looking at a wardrobe. It's broken. We are setting up a very important object to be discussed later. I feel like the veil that she was wearing, I mean, it's now over her head, but I think that there's definitely some meaning there in, there's a separation between her and this house that she's been avoiding for all these years.
Right.
And now we see the portrait.
Now the veil is off.
Yeah, the veil is off. She reveals the portrait of her aunt above the fireplace.
Very much like her.
There's too much to look at.
Yeah.
If it were me moving into this place, I would not be talking and chit-chatting. I would have gotten cleaners in here a month ago to get this place cleaned up.
Different times.
Different times. I mean, even back then, how realistic would
Back
would they
then,
have just walked
when-
in and started talking about the murders that
Back
happened?
then, when you had a family member murdered that you walked in on, you cleaned it up and got back in there, and you started living again. Apparently.
Yeah. Let's get rid of all the things that were your aunt's. Everything.
Well, he's stepping in and being the good guy, telling her to move on. So this is half of the gaslighting technique, right? I mean, you have to
Forget the past.
well, you have to convince the other person that you're trustworthy. Gaslighting only works when one person, buys into what the other person is telling them.
Right. Right. And it does make sense, the idea of let's move on, let's move forward.
Sure, yes. And again, like if you're watching it and you don't know that he's the killer, you don't necessarily see it on his face. And now what he's saying is, maybe earning him a little bit of trust. There's the square grand piano. There's a harp.
We'll get rid of her music. We'll get rid of
right, because he's the accompanist, so he knows how to play.
Yeah.
Was that me, or did the music start a little bit before his hands started moving? I think that they might have not have synced that up.
That's a good question. I wouldn't be surprised.
But piano is the number one actor's instrument because you don't have to see it. You can just do the shot from above, even though you can kind of still tell.
Yeah.
For me, since I'm a musician, if there's somebody playing a string instrument, I can tell immediately if they're actually playing it or not. Piano is a little harder to tell, but yeah, it's pretty obvious he's not playing.
So
to me,
yeah.
Maybe
Well, you don't
to everybody
see his
else.
hands, of course. He's not.
Once he stops, the music keeps going, so his hands are just little.
Okay, this is a very clear example. So the first thing, very clear that he's being suspicious is that he starts playing a song, and she's like, "Why are you playing that song?" And then she starts reading a letter, and he grabs the letter out of her hand, starts yelling at her. It's like, if this isn't obvious, like he tries to play it off, and she believes him, which I can't fathom. If somebody were to react like that, it seems so unrealistic.
Right.
But again, I always have to say, it's a movie from 80 years ago.
Right.
But that's just where my brain goes.
It's a movie from 80 years ago, about 100 years ago, or 110 years ago.
130 maybe. So she's starting to sink in.
Here we have. Oh no, we're about to have. Not yet.
Oh yeah, so the maid, the person who's taking care of the house is coming in. She's talking to the true crime lady.
I guess this is.
Oh, Master says. We're setting up that she's part deaf.
Yes. And also that they don't go out very much because Master says.
Gotta do everything Master says.
What was that you just took?
I don't know, some food from her basket.
That was rude.
Just steal it.
Here we go.
Interviewing a new maid, yeah. Oh, the cook. That's who she is. Yeah, that's
Right.
why she had a basket of food.
I think Angela Lansbury in this role, it's hard. That's what I would say about her.
Yeah. And I'm sure the accent was very specific on
Right.
a certain part of London,
Absolutely.
where she would have come from. You know, maybe her morals are a little different.
Yep.
She's willing to, break the rules a little bit.
It's just you just can't take your eyes off her in the scenes.
Oh, Bono. He's
So I think she's already telling the audience wow, what a dress.
and a hat.
Bessie?
Nancy.
Nancy, sorry.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot just happened in those scenes between the dynamics with everybody. Lots of underlying subtext.
Oh yes. Too much to discuss.
There's
So fast.
It does happen so quickly, but that's what good actors do.
Okay, he's giving her a brooch, and this definitely is an important piece.
I don't remember any of these little details, but that dress, wow. There's always this symbolism between white things and purity. I think in this case this is the whitest costume we've seen so far.
Yep. Her happiness, she's going out. So the brooch is going in because the pin isn't very strong. So more gaslighting here. I'm putting the brooch in your purse. Don't forget it that I put it in here.
Making a point to do that.
Yeah.
It'll come back later on.
He's being such a little asshole. So I guess they haven't really been out in weeks?
Yes, I think so.
I need one of those hats. One of those top hats. Tower of London. I wonder if that was that must have been a real outside area that they shot.
No, that could have been a set.
That was big.
Yep.
The background went far.
Yep.
The big ass church there.
Yep. I mean, I don't think that they built a church. I think it was a
paint. I don't know.
It does.
I'd have to look again.
I don't know if they shot on location. I don't think anybody was shooting on location unless it was special.
I love this guy is describing basically somebody getting their head chopped off in such a monotone, uninteresting way.
Again, it's sort of murderous discussions that are, talked about casually.
The limbs were torn from their sockets. She can't find her brooch, right? Or something. She's looking through her purse. She can't find something.
She can't find something.
She goes off to a very creepy part of the Tower of London. The shadows are huge in this movie. We only see her shadow, and then he comes in.
He wants to experience her turmoil.
Any chance he can get to change her mind.
Right, about going out. Everybody's dressed up. Joseph Cotton, our hero, enters the movie.
I think people should dress up like this on Sundays.
I agree. Especially that guy holding the staff.
An axe thing, yeah. Oh, this is definitely rear projection.
Yes, you can.
I want to see the back behind the scenes of this. Are they walking in place more than likely? They gotta be. There's no treadmill, probably.
No. Yeah, that's true. No, well, you could pull the camera back and still try to follow them and just.
But if it's a rear projection, the camera isn't moving.
Right.
So yeah, I think they're just faking walking in place.
Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty good walking in place.
Yeah. Oh, he's telling her that she's so forgetful about everything.
He's enjoying every second of this, seems.
What? How do you know? He's got an excuse for everything. The guide told us where the jewels are.
Whoa.
Accusing her of being absent-minded.
Very classic abusive behavior.
All he wants to see are the crown jewels. Okay, we got a little underlighting to make him look.
Oh, this has been in the news lately. The Kohinoor.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, because of the recent changing of.
The queen to the king.
Yes, and this is a stolen jewel from India.
Oh boy, they got a lot of that over there. Stolen things from Egypt, from India.
Yeah.
Okay, he knows obviously way too much about this jewel, these sets of jewels. He's not even reading from the guidebook anymore. It's just all from memory. How does he know all this stuff? Why is this not obvious?
The guide told us, remember? So I don't get it. I mean, is this just to show his obsession with wealth or I mean, he's not going to come and steal these things. Is he?
He loves jewels. He knows jewels way more than he should. Again, just setting it up.
Yeah, I don't remember these little details.
Yeah, it'll come back to me.
Yeah. But we saw Joseph Cotton. I don't know his name and his character's name, but he he's on the scene. He's following him around. He's starting to make his presence.
Brian, that's his name.
Brian
Cameron, I guess.
Nice shot.
Down the stairs.
Downstairs, looking at the shadows coming in. Very, very classic shot. He's in a good mood because he can smell her fear, or anxiety, however you want to call it.
He knows it's working. So do you think that he stole it from her purse at some point when she wasn't looking, and that's why she can't find it? That's the only thing I could think of. And now he knows that it's gone and that she's looking for it, so he wants it back, setting up that you are being forgetful and absent-minded.
Yes. Well, we never saw how he did it, but because and also
it makes the audience think that maybe she is being forgetful and
because it's not so clear. We didn't start off knowing that he was the bad guy.
Right.
We just have his and because how he underplays everything, he holds the audience. He can hold those who haven't decided yet in suspension. And now he's doing a great performance as his character, pretending that he's disappointed in her.
Yet he's not disappointed in her at all. He's very happy that she is slowly starting.
Yes, you can see how delighted he is that she's so upset.
Oh yeah, maybe he didn't even put it in.
Maybe not. That's how magic tricks work,
yeah.
Right?
Yep. He knows it's working. I think anytime that he knows that she's not looking at her, if you look at his eyes, they say so much.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that much about these actors, Nancy.
So I'm just gonna say it. Angela Lansbury's character has been primed by Charles Boyer to do anything she can to confuse Nancy. No, sorry, Nancy's Angela Lansbury to confuse Ingrid Bergman, Paula. So she said, make sure there's fire, and she says, you already told me that. So I think before we meet Angela Lansbury's character, he's already told her these are the things that you got to do.
I don't know, because it's how much is it just her wanting to please him and setting her up indirectly for that. I don't know if there's a
You don't think he was explicit about it?
No. I mean, that's my impression right now. I could be persuaded. But
I think it happens too many times to be a...
It's a perfectly good argument. It just seemed that based on if I'm seeing what is real, like if I'm not seeing anything that's not, if all the scenes of them interacting are being shown and there's now other scenes like you're saying, then I saw a little connection between Nancy and Charles Boy's character Gregory.
Master.
The master, yes. I saw a little tension between them, and maybe he knows he can exploit that somehow with, and the result of that would be furthering to gaslight Paula.
Yeah.
So I could go either way on that, but maybe there's something to that.
So Joseph Gotten is now talking to the true crime lady. Brian Cameron, yeah. I think Miss Thwaites. I think that's her character name, Miss Thwaites. He happens to be talking to the perfect person.
Yeah.
To get information about who's living at this place.
Yeah. She's quite a convenient character in this.
Very helpful for the audience.
Right.
She knows a lot. She tried to leave, and now she's second guessing.
Wow.
She can't think of anything. I feel like Nancy's got to have been primed.
It's possible.
Questions.
It's possible, but I also think that if she's jealous, if she's decided, I'm gonna make a grab for the master,
right? Because she was doing her hair.
Exactly.
She likes him.
So that could be something that's happening independent.
Or because of that, she's more willing to push Paula in that direction.
Yeah. If she thinks that there's a chance with her and the master, she's not gonna make it life any easier for Paula.
Yeah. I think she might be my favorite character.
Mrs.
Thwaites. Miss Thwaites. Thwaites.
Nice tracking shot.
Oh, Scotland Yard.
So this is exactly how people talk to each other when they're talking about cases.
$10 years, we found out.
10 years. So 1885 then, wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
And that is 45, almost 60 years prior to when the movie came out.
Mm-hmm. She's looking into the death of the singer because he saw Paula and she looks so much like her aunt. That guy's trying to gaslight Mr. Cameron here.
Right. Well, that's
But not on purpose. It's a different
That's
situation.
the-
That's
that's-
the bad usage. Of
right.
gaslight, yeah.
That's where I can.
I'm overusing it. Now we're starting to make some connections about Jules. This guy's realizing he's probably talking too much. Why was there no information about Jules in the files?
Right. Yeah, I don't want to talk about this, but now that you're mentioning it, there's some weird things going on.
I don't know about these weird things, but we're gonna just forget about it, and it's not
Yeah.
worth pursuing.
It's 10 years old.
We got new murderers to find.
So do we know what Brian, he's just showed up because he wanted some information?
They said he's the assistant of that guy with the fancy mustache.
Okay.
So I guess he works there. The commissioner.
Works.
We just saw it on the
He
door.
works for the
He
commissioner of
works for the
Scotland Yard.
commissioner at Scotland Yard. Yeah.
That's convenient.
Right. Right. Wait a minute. I just got an idea. You could help me. Benedict Cumberbatch, right there.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
If this
good
is
call.
remade, we got to get him in that role. He has the power to place cops.
Well, here again, we've got people with power using their tentacles to further their own. Here, nice wind-up organ. That's not
walking down the
that's
street.
not what it sounds like, but what it looks like. This is the score. Yeah, we mentioned the composer Milos.
And now I don't know
Horska?
who the composer actually is. Music
Oh,
by...
sorry, Bronislaw Kaper. Right,
Yes.
Bronislaw Kaper. I misquoted in the beginning. We haven't heard that much music yet. It's been all sort of just the incidental music.
Yeah, and there's a lot of times where they're just talking and there's nothing.
Nothing.
In fact, that was one of the things I wanted to pay attention to.
Right.
Is how often is there actually music
Yeah,
playing
not very
when they're
often.
talking? Not much at all. So
Yeah.
it'd be really easy to rip out the music and put in your own music.
That's true. Ouch.
So he wants her to call the maid to work on the fire. He doesn't want her to do it herself.
I have never seen that before, where you pull a cord in the side of the room, and that's where the maid.
Oh yeah.
I guess that's pretty common, but I haven't watched any of these like TV shows that have historical stuff like that. So maybe that's
That's pretty common, I think, with people who had money in a big place.
Right.
There's a string system to a bell that goes to the
A
kitchen
bell.
or something, and
they have to hear the bell.
right, and they can see, oh, this is the room
Right.
where the bell came from. I think I need one of those.
Yeah.
It would just be for myself, though. But I didn't want to bring her. You made me
Yeah.
bring her. That's the thing about this.
That's very unfortunate. That's very common in relationships
Mm.
where it's not a healthy thing where you are once you go outside of your double, you kind of use the outside world to manipulate what's going on with each partner.
And he's very clearly, I don't want to say hitting on Nancy,
Yeah.
but he's
You could say that.
he's
I think you could say that.
complimenting her
Yeah.
right in front of his wife.
Yeah.
And again, we see a gas lamp being lit. Anything I can do, sir. Looking right
Mm-hmm.
at Paula. I'll help you out in any way.
I
He
think
always talks about working, but we never see him working. He's just
No.
reading a magazine.
he's apparently a very accomplished accompanist that we've never seen him practicing or rehearsing. He's just been at his
He's
house,
just hanging out.
at her house.
Yeah.
There you go. It's explicit. Here we go.
Bringing what, hallucinations practically?
He is redirecting. The problem is not what you said. The problem is what you didn't say, or the problem is how you said it, or the problem is what did he say? You're seeing things. You're imagining things.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that you're not accurate in your
Perception of
perception.
reality.
Yes.
And this is
Weights. Hmm.
she wants to see Miss Thwaites.
But there was. Okay. There was a look.
From Nancy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the first recognition of suspicion that she has toward him.
Maybe.
She's already just told us that she doesn't feel good around Nancy. We didn't know that explicitly until she said it.
It's like every line. I almost want to like go back and watch this scene again because there's so many things.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Just tell her you're not feeling. Tell Miss Thwaites the lady of the house is not feeling well. But I wanted to see her. Well, why didn't you say that? It's like every step, everything is like breaking down her brain.
I think this is probably those kind of dynamics are very much prevalent in plays where you've got all you have is, I mean, you have a little bit of physicality, but you have just the dialogue, and that dialogue is revealing things. So there's clearly a power dynamic going on in a triplet. Well, he's practicing at least.
Yeah, he's finally playing. We're going out tonight. You gotta get dressed.
Hmm.
Well, now she's questioning herself.
Yes,
He doesn't
exactly.
just
Yeah,
even
you see
need
that.
him.
Yeah.
Oh, and look at his face. He's like, oh, that was
Got it.
fantastic. I didn't even have to do anything. You
Yeah.
can see it in his eyes. He's
Yeah.
so pleased with himself.
Yes. Oh, that's a benefit because we're in Strauss's time, so we can hear the tunes of the day.
Mm-hmm. I think there was something in the trivia about like that song or that opera or whatever had like just been
Right.
released at that time.
Yeah.
So this is all another part of the gaslighting of like, oh, I'm so trustworthy. I'm giving you something that you want. I'm making you so happy. So she trusts him even more. But then he's gonna
Yeah.
tear it all down later.
I mean, she's after that a little bit of suspicion. You can see she's like, okay, she's back. This is
She literally says, "You're the kindest man in the world." Except all these other things that he's been doing, all of a sudden, it's all relative.
yeah.
If the bar is set super low, you do one nice thing and you're the best man in the world.
Mm-hmm. Nice shot.
Mm-hmm.
Nice profile of both. And she knows it already.
This is the first time we've seen her singing.
Yeah.
Since
Since
before.
the beginning.
Yeah. She's clearly happy. People only sing when they're happy.
This sort of. It's a little too much. A little too over the top.
Yeah.
I mean, emotionally, like. Classic
You can
abusive
see-
behavior there. What's that?
No, you go first.
I just said this is like your classic abusive waves where it's up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Or I shouldn't say abusive, even though that's what it is. It's more like destructive. It's destructive thoughts. Oh, funny enough, this reminds me. Okay, so this is a missing portrait or missing picture.
Yeah, he looked up, he saw the portrait was missing, he's like, why didn't you put it back?
And he's accusing her of doing it. After she just felt so good about not being crazy.
These are the closest shots we've seen in the whole movie. We're getting
It's the
really
emotional apex. So there's a couple scenes, or maybe just one scene in the movie The Maltese Falcon.
Oh, I still need to see that.
That features a blank space there.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody has ever been able to really like say what's going on in that. I know there's been discussions about it.
Really? They don't talk about it in the movie?
They don't talk about it in the movie.
Oh, fascinating.
And that's John Huston's first movie, so it could have been like a mistake. It could have been something weird, like. But this is clearly a part of the plot.
Well, and if you've seen this more than once, as soon as he gets up and it talks to her about something missing, you see it in the background. If you know that it's there, you can see it in the background of that shot the whole time. So he knows the cook didn't do it, but he brings her up anyway to prove, hey, well, she didn't do it. How many people?
Yeah, we're gonna do this step by step.
Oh, she's a religious lady.
This might not be as relatable to today's audiences.
Not most, no. We gotta get Nancy. We gotta get the other person who lives
in
the house.
Well, it was gonna be Nancy in the room the whole time anyway. And now this is his way of including the other staff members by fully displaying her emotional instability in front of them.
Yeah, so they can see it.
They see how she's going crazy.
Everything, having the scenes filled with so many things on the walls and everything just makes it feel more claustrophobic.
Very much. It's a lot of vertical lines.
Oh, she sort of gives a side glance.
Yes, a side glance.
Why would I want to take it down?
It's communicating without saying anything.
The only thing it's missing is like them winking at each other.
Exactly.
He's making such a huge deal of a missing picture.
Well, that's his device.
Yeah.
Here's some score.
Did he say go find the picture and put it back? Well, assuming she didn't do it, she doesn't know where it is, but she starts walking up the stairs anyway.
He seems to think that she'll find it if she looks in a spot where he thinks she's going to look, is what I'm
this
guessing.
is an interesting... So she sees it behind... I think we get a little bit of an explanation here, right? She finds it. She's like questioning herself. Did I know where it was? But she went to it. It was found there before. What's the history there?
Did
Why
we know
was it
that?
found? No. Why was it found there before? Who put it there? What, like, what? So it's been, this is the third time that this has happened. Like, yeah, I want to know.
And
what,
was it when Alice Alquist was there, or
right,
was
when
it,
she was a child?
Right.
Or
Was it that?
when they were living here?
it's not
Right,
clear,
we don't
right?
know.
Okay.
But if, she was around when it was found there, it's logical that she would go there.
Correct.
But then,
There's no way, though, if it was from that time, that he would have planned this out, murder the aunt, and then wait 10 years, and then, or maybe that is what's going on. Murder the aunt, then wait 10 years and not murder, but somehow use.
well, I don't know about the picture being found there behind the statue, but yes, that is what's going on, is that he's basically, again, spoiler alert for the end, he was trying to get the jewels. He ended up killing her, and he didn't ever get the jewels, so now he wanted to figure out a way to come back to get the jewels. This whole thing is about him getting jewels. That's literally all it's
Are
about.
the jewels in there now?
He doesn't know exactly where they are,
Okay.
and so, you just see their shadows.
Lovely
on the
shot
door.
right there.
So beautiful.
That's a lovely shot. The thing is that the missing portrait or picture is locking her in. The missing picture, it's not clear when that was set up and if it was set up for this explicit purpose. But he's obviously exploiting that now, knowing that they found things there before, or maybe they found the
Right.
portrait there before. So there's some history.
The only thing I can think of is that in the months that they've been living there, he's done this a couple of times.
Maybe
before.
that's a very good explanation.
All of a sudden, Nancy just appears in the mirror. Mirrors are really big in this movie, I think.
He's telling his maid what to do. Wow. Wow. Mm-hmm. Little lean in. Wow.
She
Caught him by surprise.
Yeah, he was not expecting that. He likes it.
That's why I don't know if there was how much. Oh, this is it. So this is one of the first scenes I think I saw, and the fog in
Very
London.
misty.
The
Gaslight in the front.
Yeah, it is just a beautiful shot filled with mystery. It's a
Mystery.
it just looks like a painting, and it looks like a dark painting. And knowing the storyline, there's murder involved. It's nefarious people doing nefarious things.
Oh,
That's what lurks in the
hiding.
corners. Literally lurking in the corner, in the shadows there.
Yeah. In case somebody's following him. Oh, it's a bit out of focus. I wonder if that was on purpose.
Yeah, I mean it works. Even if it wasn't.
Yeah. Close.
Now we've got our nom de
Plume. I don't remember. No, that's a fake name. What
what is the real name?
I can't remember.
Nom de truth, veritas. Nom de veritas. No, I don't know.
we're starting to see. So the light was dimming.
The light was dimming, but
And earlier
we had just seen another scene outside. There's no way that we would know as a viewer for the first time that it was actually dimming, right? I mean, that's not.
No, I think that you see the flame get smaller.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
And she notices it.
Yeah, she can tell.
But that doesn't. I mean, that we would never think that that's being controlled by anybody.
No, but it's an external thing that's not him.
Right.
From her viewpoint.
And we saw him
something's
leave.
changing. We saw him leave, right? It's like, how
Right.
was the light changing? Earlier we had heard footsteps above.
Right.
That's all going to come back later.
Right. Nice piano.
I have to say about Nancy, like, she has so much, like, modern feminine agency. You
Yeah.
know, she's
we recognize that.
an independent woman.
Yes.
And she's very clearly like, I like to have fun with the
yes.
boys.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Uncommon
in a way that is surprising to Charles Boyer's character and also intriguing.
Oh, yeah.
He might like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So we're getting
This
ready
is
for
some event. This
musical performance. She is done up. He wants to sit next to Paula, but nope, she's sick. They're not coming. How disappointing.
Poor Brian. It's just gonna have to wait a little longer. Another very beautiful white dress. This time looks like a wedding dress.
Yeah.
Boy, women had to do a lot to.
There's probably a girdle underneath.
Ugh.
She's a very tiny waist. Fancy dress. In this exquisite room.
Yeah. It's just it makes you feel a little claustrophobic.
So he sent a note saying that she's sick, but
She didn't get them a note.
She has no idea that he sent that.
Oh, she does. She knows.
Oh yeah, but she's changed her mind. That's right.
She's stepping out.
That's the other thing. Just being forced to be in a space for so much time makes you go crazy in and of itself.
Yeah.
He did not expect that.
Yeah.
Ooh, she's getting some strength. He's got to think quick. What are you gonna say? What are you gonna say? Wait, what? She left.
Oh, it's right there. She's hoping he'll come with her.
I'm such a good man.
Now she's surprised,
Did not expect him to come.
but looks like she's a little relieved. Like, okay, if I just do what I want to do, everything will fall into place. Now he's got to think.
He gave
Double.
himself time.
She's surprised.
Coup. Did I stutter? Get me a cab, woman.
He's mine.
You can't have him. Yeah, she was not prepared at all for that.
No,
To come back.
she just caught everyone off guard.
And she is very pleased with herself on
Yeah.
that one. Oh, he's getting an idea. You can tell by the camera.
Yeah.
He is also very pleased with himself.
Yes. That's how they called for cabs back in 1885.
Boy, Gabby.
Oh yeah, I remember this scene.
She's going to the palace. She's just spilling everything on her brain to this random cop. And of course, this is the cop from before. He's been positioned here in this neighborhood now. Oh, they have a relationship?
A little side
I think
thing
he's been there a while, so
yeah,
they know each other.
It's the type of thing where people would question, is this noir? Is this film noir? And one of the definitions of noir is that that I've heard is that the characters are all sort of, there's no like good characters. Nobody's like a good guy. And that's definitely true in this, except for Ingrid Bergman's character. I think and Joseph Cotton.
Right.
So those would be the reasons against this being a noir. I think there's noir elements to it.
They all have levels to their personalities, and yeah. So he's sitting next to a woman that somebody's trying to set him up with, but he wants to sit next to this other lady, Miss Anton. Oh, they have arrived at the performance, and nobody expected it. Oh. She lost her program. So I think we need to have a party where we are required to dress like this.
Yeah.
Seems kind of odd that, like, all of a sudden we're just going to stop the music performance and walk you in.
That was very well timed, yes.
Have a very loud conversation.
Very fortuitous.
Nobody minds.
All right. Get the line of shots. No, there's no...
Brian in the background.
No label on the piano. I don't know what it is. It's not a Bluthner. Telling us that he's playing Beethoven.
Piano Sonata number 8. Pathétique. There's an interesting quality to the lens. Whatever's not in focus or not in the center usually is, even if it's supposed to be kind of in focus, it's a little fuzzy. It's a little... it's got an interesting look to it.
Do you think that... I mean, how much do you attribute that to the original or the transfer?
I think it's the original. I think it's the way the lenses and the cameras. I'm not enough of a lens nerd to know, but I think it's something about that. Yeah. So he knew that he needed to look back at Brian for some reason, even though he wasn't in his line of sight at all.
I think it. I don't know how
he's getting suspicious.
Ooh. I don't know what kind of room/building this is, but clearly big enough to host a soiree.
It doesn't seem like the acoustics would be all that good, but maybe they are. It looks like almost like greenhouse. I mean, there's literally plants everywhere.
Plants everywhere. It is a little confusing.
Yeah.
And that piano definitely sounds better than it looks. That's just based not really on anything, but of course, it's not the piano they played. It's a piano from 1944, a little bit before. But that sounds like a big piano. The piano itself in there sounds a little more rinky-dink. Or it looks a little more rinky-dink. Uh-oh. So this was his plan then.
He figured out.
If you're going to go out, I'm going to make you think that you're crazy somehow.
Something's missing.
Something's going to be missing.
Your fault.
Yes.
He didn't even say. All he said is, "My watch is missing," and first thing she thinks of is, "He's blaming me. It must be my fault."
Yeah. Oh.
We got some drama.
Yeah, she's
keep it together.
Performance.
He said 4 words, and she has gone into a tizzy. And now he's grabbing her purse. I don't know what I said. Oh, and the piano music
Yeah.
is perfectly
Yes, I was
matched
gonna
to
say
the
that.
tension.
Yeah.
Like you don't even think, you're not even conscious of the fact that this is diegetic music, something that's happening in the scene, because you're so used to just hearing music like
Right.
this.
Well, I like this. I like this element of music in this movie that they withhold it because it's about musicians sort of peripherally. They withhold it from the normal things. They just include it at dramatic parts. It is quite effective, I think.
Yeah.
There's an extra layer of moodiness because of that. Oops.
Oh, the rest of the room is...
Oh, she's crying. She can't hold it together. She's disrupting the performance. No, you cannot disrupt a performance of Beethoven.
There are so many background actors in this scene.
Yeah.
That is something... There's nothing incredibly interesting going on. They're doing a good job, but like, I can't help but think about, who are these people? Is this what they did for a living? What was that day like? To get all these people together must have been an insanely... The logistics are just crazy.
Yes.
It must have been a multi-day shoot.
Well, this is, I think, the advantage when they had studio systems making movies. The movies were made by studios rather than producers. You could easily get a room full of people. It's just, oh no, we'll just
Yeah.
call in group number 3-4D and they'll show up. My own house? He called it my own house?
Yeah, when it's hers, clearly.
Yeah. Wouldn't be there if it wasn't for her.
Mm-hmm.
Right, she asks it.
Straight up. Putting it all together.
Yeah. You can tell because she's pointing to her temple.
She's thinking, no, it was even before the brooch. It was the letter. He's like, what? That was when he reacted so insane.
Oh. His eyes.
He's very quick.
Yeah.
He comes up with these lies so fast.
Well, that's what's kind of unfortunate. That's the scary thing about people that can gaslight is they're good at what they do.
Yeah. So he's telling her that her mom died in an asylum. So her mom was crazy. At least he's telling her. And so she must be crazy too.
Right. Right.
Explain at all.
That's crazy. Of course, like psychology at this time was very Freudian and it's a little
still figuring things out.
Yeah, they're not quite as advanced as today.
Mm. So he knows Brian was there. He recognized him from the tower. But she literally does not know.
No, she didn't know.
And he's trying to tell her that she went because he was there.
Now we can... Uh-oh. Now some of the paranoia we see on him.
He looked like he was about to get really physically violent.
Yeah. Yeah, you're kind of seeing him reacting to this web of lies that he's created.
He's starting to unwind.
Yes.
Is he gonna bring in a psychiatrist? Yeah, he seems French.
French, yeah.
I believe too.
I mean, he's a
Faces and Shadows.
yeah. That
She's going into and a bit of uplighting again here, I think. Yeah, make it more creepy, scary.
oh, now you see somebody in the.
We saw them before.
Oh, you did.
I think when they went home, we saw this hat, top hat in the shadow. So yeah,
Very voyeuristic.
Mm-hmm. So watching them.
This is. I mean, not by now we've seen this sort of foggy shot of the outside. What, 2 or 3 times already?
It's the second. Yeah, a few times. Mm-hmm. It's the second night, I think, but the third time we've seen it.
it. You can do a lot with shadows, and this
Oh, this is so great.
this is another thing that has stuck with me the whole time.
Such a beautiful shot that was.
Yep. There was another movie that was shown frequently by Rand Blake called Spiral Staircase, which also features somebody wrapping a piece of wood along a fence. I feel like, just like the way that I kind of spot pianos, that's what I would do with my job. If you're a cat owner and you see a cat in a movie, it's kind of like, there's a cat.
There's a cat. There's 2 cats.
2 cats.
I wonder if it was like, is there a purpose? Is there a reason behind that? He dropped his cigarette, and because we dissolved to a new shot of a cigarette.
Is that a new cigarette or the same cigarette?
Oh, sorry. Yes, it's the same cigarette, just a little bit later. Interesting.
They were both.
It looked different though.
Yeah, it did look a little different.
I feel like it might be a different part. Like it's a new cigarette. I don't know.
I think they probably had to double the shot. They had to probably cut and have these actors come in, so that's why they might have just had a little continuity.
Well, they're talking about how he like went down the alleys and then disappeared. So it could be like further down the alleys. He just lit another cigarette and dropped it.
Maybe.
It's like he's leaving breadcrumbs, but why? Like you're making it kind of not for himself. He knows. I don't know.
Does he know that people are following him?
Because I think the background was different. I'd have to rewind it to check.
But they are clearly following him.
Yeah. Because they know he's super suspicious.
It is a little curious. You've got these French accent, Swedish accent, clearly English actor that's not even trying to, put an accent on. All happening in 1875 London. I mean, not really, but 1885. My point is that this is a very Hollywood movie, once you kind of pick it apart.
Yes. All right, so we got footsteps. She hears footsteps above. This is not the first time she's heard them. The light has been dimming.
That was not a very clear. That was
now.
Oh, it's kind of cracking.
Too much for her.
Cracking a little bit. That was a very quick jump cut to kind of exploit her franticness. She's doing it. I mean, her performance is incredible, so believable, and it's not. No wonder that she got the Academy that year, or it's no
surprise.
No surprise.
Yeah, I should watch the other ones that were nominated.
Yeah,
because I'm really curious. Again, though, at the same time, seeing current movies, it's so hard not to see like, okay, it just feels a little over dramatic.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you could take old movies as a product of their time, or and or take them as a portal into ways of seeing. But also, the portal goes both ways. They can show us something about ourselves that maybe we couldn't see without it. Something that's universal.
Yeah, I want to know, in 1885, is that how people reacted and acted? Is that how they talked, or
Probably
was it
not.
just the Hollywood's viewpoint?
Yeah,
of that,
I think it's more reflective of that, because this is how people in the 40s thought about the people in the 1880s.
Right, right. But even, movies that are made in the 40s that take place in the 40s are still a little overly dramatic.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Well,
this is where the cook's deafness comes in.
Right.
Because she says, "Their sounds, don't you hear them?"
right. That's maybe why he kept her on.
Right, right. Very much so. He could have even hired her
Yeah.
at the time because it was vacant for 10 years.
Right.
So
Yeah.
He probably wanted to get somebody who was deaf.
Yep.
That's foresight.
Yeah. Well, just as much as it is planting hidden landscape portraits behind the clock going up the stairs.
Mm-hmm. So we're getting a map of trying to figure out why would he go into this empty house.
Is he wearing an ascot? Is that what you call that thing?
Either that or a scarf.
Or just
Well,
a scarf?
it looks like it could be like in the morning he's wearing a robe, so it's a morning ascot.
Morning ascot?
I don't know, a breakfast ascot.
Is that Benedict Cumberbatch?
Yeah, he looks less like him without the hat.
He talks like Jimmy Fallon.
Interesting. I could kind of see that. He's like Jimmy Fallon stretched out a little bit.
No, like his voice to me reminds me.
He sounds like.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me-
Maybe not.
Now I want to hear him do that voice.
You know how Jimmy Fallon talks like with his nose clenched off? It's
Mm. It's kind of like that.
kind of like that.
Master told Nancy that Paula might be going away for a long time. So he's very clearly American, living in London, right?
Yes.
It's like, I can't do an accent. I'm just going to be an American.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I do like Joseph Cotton a lot.
What else has he been in that you can think off the top of your head?
The Third Man. He's been in pretty much anything with Orson Welles, like
Citizen Kane?
Citizen
Yeah,
Kane.
yeah.
He was part of that theater troupe that with Orson Welles. I first saw him in Third Man, but whenever I see him, I'm like, oh, I mean, he was a big actor. This is clearly like a big role.
Yeah.
And they don't really care that he's not British at all. They're just like, yeah, it's Brian. We'll just have Brian do it.
Brian Cameron, 2 first names. She's trying to distract herself from him. Can't get that out of his head or out of her head. Of course, it's got to be out of focus to make her
Right.
add
Yeah,
to her.
Yeah. Now we've got music. This is one of the rare times we've got a score happening underneath.
Mhm.
To obviously underpin the drama. And here we have another scene. It's sort of like it makes sense if it's a mystery. We return to the same sort of shot, the same sort of setup, the
We
fog.
got to see that he's doing this regularly.
Yes.
And he knew, he saw him leave, so he's like, now's my chance to go
Right.
talk to her. Okay, if this guy came and said all that, some stranger, I'd be like, no, dude, you can't force yourself in. Like, clearly, we know as an audience that he means well.
Oh, yeah.
But everything he's saying is so suspicious.
Yeah.
You don't let somebody in who's talking like that. This is super creepy.
Yeah, that's true. He's kind of walking in like he owns the spot, doesn't he?
Yeah. Now this changes everything. The missing glove.
Ah. Well, she has to now.
But boy, he sure just barged in.
He barged in. He knew he had the glove, so he could kind of.
I just feel like you could say, "I have this glove" from the doorway.
That would have been a little bit
Yeah.
more polite.
You could trust me. I'm cool. I was a fan of your mother, your aunt.
Yeah. Yeah, that could have been more of a preamble. And we have more score now. It's like the score is
We
kind of.
need it at certain times.
Yeah. Hmm.
Why? I do obviously urge people to watch this at the same time because there's a lot of times of silence when we're not talking.
Yeah, I mean that's what's curious though about like reaction videos. Is are you watching the thing? Are you watching the reaction? Are you watching both? Are you? What's the level that you're watching this and that?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's impossible to know in real time.
Oh, so
Oh, here's the second.
oh, it's at least the third, I think.
The third? Oh, okay.
Yeah, seeing the gaslight dim. She did talk to the cook about the light, how much gas is in the pipes, and the cook said it's going to get better. So that was maybe an explanation of why it's happening.
Mm.
You see it too?
Yes.
I'm not crazy.
It's a crucial conversation.
They're starting to put their puzzle pieces together.
Yes. Oh yes, of course we needed those repetitions to get in the
To show the habit.
correct. Yes. Mhm. I like this shot right behind the couch. There's like a wave that's cutting
one of
off
those
a
shades.
third of the shot, and you just see her face and his body and face.
Wonder. So like she's hiding herself. She's like she
Mhm.
doesn't feel comfortable talking about this, but she
Right.
knows that like, oh wait, you see, I'm not
Yes,
crazy.
yes, yes.
And she's like putting it together. I needed somebody else to validate
Yes.
that he goes out, this thing happens. There's a pattern here.
Interesting decision to do it behind the furniture.
Yeah.
Why is he telling her to be quiet?
This scene, when she's saying this, no, I don't know who's up there. Like it's taken her so long to put it all together. It pains me to say this, but I feel like she's kind of an idiot. And
Well-
it's not nice to say that, but like, she has to be a certain level of something, not dumb. It has to be overly dramatized to have the plot. But it's like it just feels a little unrealistic to me.
There's a lot of that.
And that's where like that and like all of his overreactions felt comedic to me.
I see.
It's like
I
it
see.
just feels so unrealistic that you wouldn't catch on to all those little things.
Yes. I think, I mean, for me, and I think for a lot of people, especially at the time, like, you just have to buy into her.
Right.
You know, she's pure.
Mm-hmm.
She's not. Yeah, once you start questioning it, then yeah, a lot of stuff can fall apart.
Totally different time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we found, little more. We're putting, yeah, like you said, we're putting the pieces together. The audience is putting the pieces together, rather.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've seen him for the first time. Now we know. Now we know he's the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Which checks out because we've got basically less than a quarter of a movie left.
So they've been there for all these weeks and months. He's not going through that attic area in an organized fashion, which bothers me. Bothers my OCD. He's tearing drawers apart.
Right.
He opens this random drawer. He finds a knife.
Yeah.
He holds it suspiciously, and he just stabs a chair. Like he didn't go looking for a knife. He just, oh, I have a knife. I'll go stab this chair. It's like all over the place.
Yeah. It did seem a little impulsive.
Right.
Considering how much he relies on strategy and planning.
Right. It's a little all over the place.
Yeah.
He's like, screw it, I'm going to break into his desk so I can find some evidence. Missing gun.
I mean, this is something else that is not necessarily a good thing, where you have got the only person that can solve the crime. She would be lost if it was not for this outside guy. American comes in, and it was on the right night, too.
So she's learned that there was a letter.
Yeah, she's getting caught up rather quickly. She's taking it pretty good, considering. Look at her collars.
Like scalloped.
Yeah,
all the way down the back.
Fancy.
He thinks she knows too much, but clearly she doesn't because she can't figure it out. That's one of the reasons why I feel like this should be remade these days. And, maybe the new one addresses these things, but I feel like there's a way to do it that maybe in modern days feels a little bit more realistic.
Right. Yeah, that's
where
true.
She doesn't need the man to figure it out.
Right, for sure. That would be the remake objective. The objective would be to make her do it on her own. Now, I just had this thought. Ingrid Bergman, I believe, had an affair with the filmmaker Rossellini, and then the daughter is from them.
Oh, okay.
Because they look so similar.
Who is her daughter?
From not Twin Peaks, from Blue Velvet.
Oh, Rossellini.
Yeah,
Isabella Rossellini.
Isabella Rossellini. I think that's her daughter.
I think so. I think you're right. I think I did just read that, actually. Yeah.
And she got a lot of crap. Ingrid Bergman did for having an affair because he was married, or she was married. So they both were married, or one of them was married. Anyway, that wasn't the thing that Hollywood people could do yet. Now they can. It's acceptable. Mm-hmm. It's something that's, people don't depend on their Hollywood stars for monogamy anymore.
Yeah, she fell in love with him, left her husband and her daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, Isabella Rossellini is a twin.
Oh, wow.
Isota Rossellini. Right, so they're in the attic now, right? I sort of missed a little bit of this.
Yeah, we were talking.
Oh, it's the guy. He's getting ready to leave. Oh, he sees the sparkle. How did he not see the sparkle before?
Oh, he's by himself. He was just about to.
He was about to leave.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like, all right,
I'm done.
I can't.
Just one
search anymore.
One more glance back. Probably nothing, but here's a sparkle.
Oh, and the portrait is perfectly placed right there on the side because that is going to play an important role in mere seconds. The jewels. He found the jewels. But didn't he... maybe not. I thought that maybe he looked at that dress before, but I guess not.
It's always jewels.
Right?
What's with the...
That's the other thing. It's like he went through all of this for some friggin' jewels.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they're worth a lot. They were stolen from somewhere else. They're worth a ton. But, like, boy, greed will make people do crazy things.
It's not something I would expect out of an accompanist.
Right, a pianist. I just realized the pattern on the dress, well, not only is it the same pattern in the portrait, but it's the same pattern on the wallpaper at the beginning.
Over
the intro credits.
Yes, that's right.
Which
The
is
wallpaper.
a very feminine
Yes,
shape.
it is. Yes, that's right. Very good. That is what people should come away from this knowing.
Patterns.
That pattern in the beginning is important.
This is why you gotta watch movies more than once.
Yeah. Some people like to just have a movie on. I can say that I'm sometimes one of those people. Sometimes I just like. Sometimes I like watching movies that are not like considered art movies. I didn't start doing this until recently, but like just kind of like comic book type things, just to like know the plot. Oh, this is happening to this person. Okay, like I get it.
Things you've seen before.
Or not. Not. It doesn't have to be like horror movies. That's how the Criterion had this thing. They had like 30 horror movies, and I just watched all of them, and I just like got into it because I didn't care that much about catching every little detail. I just wanted to see like what happened and what sort of like what were the death scenes, what were like the special effects. So I think you can watch movies that way. You can watch movies like we're watching it right now, like after multiple viewings and trying to kind of like decipher more and more about it. That's of course a lot of fun.
I'm very curious about this door that he just opened. First of all, why is he coming back through the attic door when he was going to go out the window in the attic? But also, what's the point of having that extra door in front of the door with just like boards when he could just go? I don't know. That something didn't seem right.
Yeah.
With that.
Well, I don't know, but it seemed like maybe that was the first time he did this move because he had already found it. So he's
right.
But
like, oh, okay, I can come and
maybe it's just a directing decision.
I guess I didn't really understand why they put that fake door on in the first place. Okay, so Brian is hiding around the corner, waiting for him to come back that way because he thinks he's going to. But
when you go out a certain way, you come back.
Right. Oh, his desk has been busted.
Oh, is that because that Brian was there? Right?
He jimmied it open.
That's right.
Yeah, with that.
Brian.
Damn it, Brian.
I think it's funny that his name is Brian for some reason.
I know. It seems like so unassuming, so nerdy, so I don't know, something.
Maybe because of the life of Brian, he just has that association now.
Have you watched that movie recently?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
somebody else was talking about it. Like
we watched it not that long ago. It's so good. Oh man. She is pissed.
Yeah, and now we see the lines around her are a little bit maybe horizontal instead of vertical. I don't know if that's a thing.
Right in front of her, there was something, not in this shot. But man, she had a good look in her eyes.
Yeah, she did.
Well, we didn't pause once, which a little surprised me. We only got 13 minutes left.
You thought we were going to pause?
I did. I thought I was going to have to pee. Come to my room. I have something to show you.
Ooh, you could hear some breathing.
He's like, you don't faze me. I have proof.
You have no power over me. Look at his face.
Oh, yeah. Looking down. He still thinks he has control.
Yes.
He's
And
standing in front.
that's the great thing about when you have performances, when you have two amazing actors playing off each other, and you can just watch it over and over again.
They had a different use of pronouns back then. She says it wasn't me, it was he.
Hmm.
And then earlier she said something about like I, and nowadays we would say me.
Hmm. Right.
So
Maybe
interesting
that's
how that changed.
that's how people talked in 1885. I don't, or maybe that's how they talked in 1944.
Right. So she's like, I'm gonna just tell him the man who came to see me. I'm gonna tell him everything because I know.
Huh?
Oh, she's not helpful.
And how did that work? He just came in. I forget how he slipped past her, or is she?
No, she knew. I think. Yeah, she's lying.
Oh, she's
I
lying.
think.
Now, because he told her.
Maybe.
We don't know.
She's like,
We don't know who's telling anything.
Right. She's not helping her mistress.
Hmm.
Bitch.
Hmm.
It's like, nope, sorry, you're not gonna get saved in this last moment. You need to stretch it out a little bit more. One last
One last
feeling.
attempt.
Yeah. I liked you, Elizabeth. I don't like you anymore. Ooh! Looking at him.
Thought I knew you. Hmm. Wow.
Falling back into it. Dream, dream, dream.
Yeah.
Dream.
Hmm. Nice. This is like a beautiful duet.
Just talking at each other, but to themselves, and yeah. What?
And
Finally,
finally,
the White Knight.
yeah. I was hoping you'd say I'm Brian.
Hi, Brian here. Let the men sort this out.
Mm-hmm.
Like a child. Jesus.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about your mental health amongst ourselves. You can't be a part of this.
Yes. Well, that was still common up till, pretty recently.
Yeah. Still is common.
Yes, still was common, of course. Mmm.
Guess it.
Mm.
The missing gun was set up beforehand.
Whoa.
But I'm ready for it. Because he knew. He's a smart man. Smart American man. The lines.
I was
so
just
many
gonna say,
lines.
I mean, there is got to be a fight scene, right?
Yeah. She sees the gun on the floor. It got dropped, but she won't pick it up.
Nice shot.
Oh, they were canoodling. So you in the background you can see Nancy saying something, but there's no audio.
No
I really
audio.
want to know what she was saying.
Yes. That's great.
There's no music.
No music.
Nothing. This whole time.
Yes. That's what's so weird about it.
Hello.
I'm just gonna walk in.
To the murder house.
She seemed very happy to just.
Oh, she's so excited that
Yeah.
there's activity going on
Yeah.
there.
But she knocked. She tried to be polite.
Yeah.
Nobody's there, so I'm just gonna walk in.
We need to get all the main characters together.
Yeah. Right.
So she has gathered the confidence to go check out what's going on up there, because we hear nothing. There's no activity going on.
Now. They're.
Oh, you see Brian. She's gonna have years of therapy.
He's not letting her go in. Oh, he is letting her go in.
She persisted, so
I see.
he's a nicer guy than this guy would not have let her in.
Wow.
For sure, but he's all tied up. That was fast.
Tied up. Yeah. Fast and quiet.
He's an expert at.
Yeah, we need that scene at the end for, confirmation and try to pack everything up, put it away. So we got to have the reveal, the ultimate truth telling.
Oh, locks.
Tables have turned. Oops.
You admitted basically to the letter.
Yes. He's going to try everything he can.
Everything. To bite your ear off. Now she's high and she's got
That's
the
right.
control.
Yep.
First time probably in the whole movie that's
Yep.
happened.
Yep.
What's he looking at?
Mm-mm.
I know there's a knife there because I stabbed a chair and I just put it back nicely. Oh, what she got in her mind? You're crazy. Oh, what's this?
Mm. And she's finally in control.
Referencing all the things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, including the brooch. I think this is the scene that won her the Oscar.
Yeah.
So she's saying, like, if you had just been honest with me from the beginning. Hell yes. And he's like, I want to know what happened in
Mr. Cameron? No. Brian? Yes.
Please, call me Brian. I would be worried that he would
Yeah.
attack her or something.
Yeah, I think everyone's playing this pretty reasonably.
Look at that glint in his
Yeah.
eye.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I would say is that if they had it from below, I feel like typically in evil characters they've got the light coming from below.
Right.
Even that glint. Maybe they started doing that later in film history.
He's such a gentleman just to give it up. And say goodbye.
All right, cool. I lost. I'll go to jail.
Goodbye.
We have more Gaslight in the foreground. Give a little look at each other. Okay, so I missed it at some point, but somewhere at Nancy, Angela Lansbury had a cigarette. There was a scene with her. She was smoking a cigarette. I forgot to pay attention to that, but that scene, they had to wait until she turned 18 to film that scene, and like the day that she turned 18, that day later after they celebrated her 18th birthday, they shot that scene.
Wow. That seems so unnecessary, but I guess they really wanted her to have that cigarette.
Like, right?
Could have just done it without the cigarette, but they needed to have that cigarette.
Well, because a cigarette shows that you are...
You're of ill repute?
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. But
well, according to that back then, yeah. Well, that's the last line of the movie.
There's the design, tying everything together.
Yep. Let's just show it to you one last time.
MGM.
Muggum.
Just cutting. Dame May Whitty was Mrs.
Dame May Whitty. Yep.
Barbara Everest was Elizabeth.
So yeah, that was super fun. Short intro or short outro credits because all the credits were done at the beginning.
Right.
That's it, and that was literally the end. Boom.
Is this picture here that's on Amazon Prime? Is that even from this version of?
That is a good question.
It looks like neither of them. It looks like someone found a stock photo of the other movie and put it in there.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I didn't even look at that before.
Yeah. Well, I was on when we came in, and I was just looking at. I didn't think anything of it then, but now I'm like, neither of these characters are in there. So that must have been
the UK one.
The UK version. That must be Anton's character or the character of Anton.
Well, he's got a mustache, so that makes him creepy right off the bat.
And she's got that sort of far off look in her eyes, so that must be the Ingrid Bergman character. So.
Oh, fascinating. That's a big mistake on Amazon's part.
Yeah. Amazon, get your pictures together.
Yeah.
Or not.
Just don't do it. Don't listen to us.
Don't listen to us.
Well, so how did you like watching it again?
I thought it was fun. It went by pretty quick, and I feel like it's like watching a movie with another person is always fun, and it can be for this reason or for that reason. I felt like I really got a sense for the pacing watching it this way and talking about it, like sort of detached from the storyline. Yeah. And that's pretty much it. I mean, it's just sort of another way of looking at it, a unique sort of like approach. Really, I feel like timing kind of changes because you're clearly just engaged the whole time, but with what it's kind of moving around. So it felt like the movie went by pretty quick, even though it was a 2-hour movie or an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So I felt like it went by pretty quick. It was kind of like watching it it was kind of like a summation of all of my prior experience watching it. I was watching it for the first time, for the second time, the third time, then this time. So
all together.
I don't know what it'll be like the next time I watch it. That's the question.
Yeah.
But at this point, I feel like it was a good. I don't know. I wonder if I'll be more prompted to put it on. I'm sure whenever I watch it, I will find some other detail though that I didn't notice about. This time. So I'm looking forward to that.
I think when you're talking about it and when you're not talking about it, you can, and you've seen it multiple times, you can look at all those other things. So I'm glad that I had at least seen it once before. Probably would have wanted to see it. Maybe if this had been my third time watching it, that might have been a little bit better because then I would have known the story a little bit better.
But you know better than I did, though.
Well, I had seen it probably a lot more recently. It was literally just like a month ago that I had seen it, so it was still sort of fresh in my mind. But that being said, listening to you and trying to say things myself really pulled me away from focusing on the story, and my brain is so one-track anyway.
Yeah, sure.
That, I can really only focus on one thing at a time. But, I was still able to... That's why sometimes I had to sort of describe what was going on in the plot for my own purposes.
Sure.
To sort of remind me.
Do you feel like... do you like watching the... audio commentary when that was a thing? Do you find that to be something you seek out? I remember one time I just was fell asleep and the audio commentary for The Graduate came on and I woke up listening to it and I was like, this is incredible. These people, there was so much depth and I know it depends on who's doing it, so not everyone's going to be great, but I didn't know if that was something that you sort of like.
When DVDs first came out and audio commentaries were a thing, I was watching those. I was watching all those.
Yeah.
All of the Lord of the Rings, the extended editions, each one had 4 commentaries. I watched probably all of them. I love the behind-the-scenes stuff. Obviously, because we've gone so far from DVDs and I don't watch so many DVDs anymore, I haven't watched a lot of those commentaries. But I do love those because you just get so much good information.
Yeah. Yeah, I found, not so much in The Graduate, but other things, where you hear the people that made it talking about, there's details that I kind of, appreciate more having watched those stuff, like the sets and the lighting and maybe some of the editing, that's just stuff that you don't necessarily, can't even form an opinion about. I mean, I guess, if you have an experience editing, you can have an opinion about what, but hearing somebody else talk about the editing, is a really fast way to appreciate the editing and whatever they're doing,
when they call it out explicitly.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, because sometimes it can not necessarily ruin anything, but it can make you maybe a little too aware of things when you're watching something, maybe take you out of that story a little bit. So it can go both ways.
There are definitely people who do not want the commentaries. They don't want to see the behind-the-scenes featurettes or anything like that because it takes them out of the story, especially if it's something like Lord of the Rings, when it's how did they do that? A special effects heavy or practical effects heavy movie. They don't want to know.
Yeah.
But man, for me, I've always been fascinated by that stuff. That's I can't help but think of that. I didn't really talk about it a lot here, but for a lot of movies, I can't help but think about, just how did they do that? What was the process? What was going through the actors' minds when they were going through that or something? There's so many things that I think we just didn't even touch on in this movie alone. But this was an interesting experiment.
Yeah.
Would you do this again?
Sure, anytime.
Next time you're in town.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Well, I hope whoever watched this all the way through, how many hours? I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you let me know. Seriously, I feel always weird saying comment and hit that like button and subscribe and all those things, but it's seriously, if this was interesting to you, if it was entertaining, educational, put it in the comments. Maybe mention some other movies that you'd want us to do, because, like I said, just talking about movies while I'm watching them is all my brain wants to do a lot of times.
So you had a good time?
I did. It was great. Again, it was hard to focus on the plot at the same time.
Yep.
Ideally, what I would do is I would watch it again and I would take notes, and then so I'd be more prepared. But again, I had seen it not too long ago, But there's a lot of movies that I've seen so many times that I could talk a lot about.
Yeah.
I think that the thing is, you sort of have to ignore the plot if you're going to talk about it, and trust that people aren't watching it for the plot; they're watching it for the things to say about it.
Yeah.
It's our own commentary, basically.
It is. That's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
Out of two completely outside.
Unrelated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unrelated to the movie, our own commentary.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you for watching, and, maybe we'll do another one of these sometime. I'll bring on some other guests so you don't see him every single time.
Well, that's okay.
The Graduate, you mentioned The Graduate. That's one of Sharon's favorite movies.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Ever since she was, like, 14 years old.
Well, make her watch the director's cut. The commentary. It's really good. Really good commentary.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, well, I hope everything recorded properly.
Yeah.
That's my biggest worry.
Yeah.
If not, whatever. We'll do it again.
We'll do it again.
All right. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
And cut.